still afforded these opportunities, to me, that is nothing but favor. That is nothing but protection. And I took that protection and favor seriously. I never want to take that for granted. And I knew that at that moment I had a calling, and, finding what that calling or purpose is develops. And I still don't have like a cool one-liner to say, okay, this is my purpose. But I know that I was not protected from all of that just by happenstance. Not free, got that big.
What's going on, family? It's your brother Lawrence here with another episode of Watch God Work. Today I have our sister, Mikyle Crockett. What's going on, sis?
Hello, how are you?
As an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader, as an entrepreneur, founder, you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
And still in a business that, again, is about image, what I'm doing, and then my ability to deliver on a show and make people engage. Who is Miss Mikyle Crockett?
You coming in heavy already.
Yeah.
To me, I'm a friend, a sister, a daughter, somebody who's just trying to make it day to day. Like I'm trying to have impact, make my time count, and really navigate my purpose and identity. But you just have to live in the season that you're in, and kind of one step will take after the next.
Speaking of season, could you ever have imagined being a cheerleader for the Atlanta Falcons and building a business? Were there any inclinations if you look back?
I mean, I think so. One of my biggest mantras that I'm living by right now is that great people do little things with excellence. So I think I really live trying to remind myself of those little things. And I think now that I look back, those little things add up to my bigger picture moments, right? So if you go all the way back to high school and Miss Florida days, I didn't grow up a pageant girl, never thought about doing pageants. The only reason why I did that pageant, it literally was last minute. I went to private school my whole life. All my friends, I danced my whole life as well. And all my friends who were in public school, their schools had like a Miss Paxson, Miss, Stanton, like you could do a pageant for your school. My school didn't have that. So I literally said, Mom, I want to do a pageant. We Googled it. Miss Jacksonville came up. It was 2 weeks away. We got a dress. I went on stage. Like it kind of just fell into place, but it's the holistic preparation that got me there, right? So being in shape. So I was ready for a swimsuit, being well-versed on what's going on in my community to be able to interview well, having good grades, being involved at school, like all those little moments led up to that milestone, right? And the same thing with Falcons. I literally was sitting over tacos with my best friend. I was like, what are some things that I really want to accomplish before my not time runs out, but before I get older, right? So my body's not going to move like this the rest of my life. I'm not going to look like this the rest of my life. I'm not going to be dancing my whole life. So cheerleading and dancing kind of fell in that bucket. Again, we looked it up and auditions were in like 2 to 3 weeks. She's like, you're doing it. I'm signing you up. I went out there and did it, and by the grace of God, made it onto the team. But it's those little moments. Like I had to be prepared already for that moment. I couldn't prepare in 3 weeks. That's a moment where the little things of life added up to that moment. Whether it's dancing, stretching, having your look together, it all matters when it's go time.
There's one thing to be prepared, but there's another thing to be uniquely prepare for that. Where was the genesis of even your relationship with God? Tell us about that genesis story for you.
Yeah, so I've always grown up in the church. My family has always been to church. I was in the little church choir and I couldn't even sing, or I was the usher.
Don't miss that.
I always grew up in the church. But I think the pivotal, like, hit me over the head moment was really in college. And I kind of got closer with my mom to an extent of her being vulnerable and kind of sharing her backstory and her struggles that I was never privy to growing up. And not that I grew up super sheltered, but I grew up very supported and protected, and to understand everything that was going on behind the scenes, with either my dad being abusive or their marriage or her raising me as a single mom. Like, it literally blew my mind to understand, okay, all of that was going on in the background, and yet I was still in private school, in dance classes, going to Auburn University, or still afforded these opportunities. To me, that is nothing but favor. That is nothing but protection. And I took that protection and favor seriously. I never want to take that for granted. And I knew that at that moment I had a calling, and, finding what that calling or purpose is develops. And I still don't have like a cool one-liner to say, okay, this is my purpose. But I know that I was not protected from all of that just by happenstance, So I think that really triggered my passion to become well-rounded and really pour into women and kind of find your value in the Lord versus your circumstances and kind of what the world throws at you. But like, okay, you can go through all of that. Your mom can go through all that, and look at her success, and look at her, energy and just grace and joy. And those are things that I fight for, because no one can take that away from me. I can go through tough times, I can struggle, I can achieve, I can, all these things that we've talked about are great, but I've never identified myself as that, like, whether it's in relationships, how I, approach relationships with guys, whether it's friendships, whether it's how I take my achievements. I've never been defined by those moments. It's always been like, okay, that's great. I'm appreciative of them. I'm very thankful of them. But that's not my identity. And that may go to the fearlessness, right? Like, it's just something to go for. It's not who I am. It's not what I do. It's just something that is fit for this season. And allows me to pour into the community or my teammates or anything like that. But that moment, or learning that backstory, really changed the perspective of how I see my personal life, and the value and weight of grace and protection.
Oof, that is one of the things I sense from you early is you befriend seasons. There's a view of, okay, well, I'm not going to be doing this forever. I won't be this. And so there's a comfort with that. And I think in this culture, in this time, that's not always a universal comfort. You have that perspective. You're like, all right, I have a call on my life and I need to be more intentional. What did that look like? And did you have any other experiences, even now kind of in college, when you're now getting this download from your mom, you're understanding this, you're like, all right, God, he has his hand on my life. How did that even impact? Did you have any more encounters where you're like, oh my gosh, only God, you're winking at me in this? Or was it just a steady sense that all I need was that, and I'm good with that?
Yeah, I think it's just a steady sense. Like, I mean, there's moments every day, even, just where I am today. I don't think, how do I say this? I haven't had a hit over the head like that again. But I think I now welcome him and the Holy Spirit into more little things that I do, to where I don't need an overwhelming presence. How do I say that? I've begun to acknowledge and welcome the Lord and the Holy Spirit into like my little details of life, so that when grand things happen, I'm not overly shocked by them. I'm thankful and humbled by them. But I know that it's nothing but the Lord, Or it's,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So whether it's buying a house or achieving different milestones in my career or doing different things in the community for my family, if you're constantly with somebody, like if I see my best friend every single day, if she were to walk in my house right now, I'm not blown over the head that she just walked in, you know, but that moment in college where I wasn't really not that I wasn't thinking about it, but not as it wasn't as intentional as I had been thinking about it before, you know? So when it hit me or walked in the door, yes, I was mind blown.
The pressure of, you know, you're working in a team sport in essence for what you're doing. And then ultimately there's another element of my output, my product is not only my ability to deliver on dance, it is also like I have to be in shape. I need to be presentable. It's a different type of pressure. How have you just practically navigated that with God around that, you know, to make sure that you're like, all right, am I giving this too much pressure? Is it, you know, like, how have you managed just the anxiety and the natural pressure of the nature of the work that you do?
Yeah, so it's funny you asked that because I honestly did not identify it as pressure until recently. I think that I've been on not even autopilot, but I've just been on go for so long of my life that I don't know anything different, you know? So it's not like, yes, different ventures that I'm involved in are seasonal, but it's not like I do them and take a long break, right? So high school, it's Florida. Then I went to college. Then I danced for Auburn. Then I became Greek. Then I graduated. I started my career. Then I started Falcons. Like it's always on go for me. And recently I have felt the pressure, and just I've been finding myself getting very overwhelmed lately, just like breaking down in tears, just overwhelmed. And you know, just talking through it with people that I love. And I really had a kind of breakthrough conversation with my mom to kind of navigate the differences the transitions, I'll call them, that I'm going through. And it was actually her who stepped back and she's like, you know, Mikyle, like you're always on, like not on purpose, but like whether it's on social media or it's work and you're on camera or I'm like the queen of side hustles, but she's just like, you know, you need a space to step back and relax and just be you and just decompress. And another thing that I've identified is that my spiritual gift is kind of like being the cheerleader for everybody. So I think it's easy to step back and be like, who is my cheerleader, you know? So I have a very small circle, and that's because of that, right? I have phenomenal friends, a phenomenal boyfriend, phenomenal parents that just really, really pour into me, and I need that. So it's one, identifying that it's okay to get overwhelmed, right? Two, what needs to be taken off my plate, and I've, you know, removed some things from my plate. And then three, just making sure that I'm really surrounded by the right people. And that relieves so much pressure. Like, you don't have to be, what am I trying to be?
What do you think God has to say about it when you're doing too much?
Yeah, that's real. And that is honestly what I'm trying to figure out right now. It's the why behind my what's. And that's what I'm digging through that now.
The gift you have of cheering. There's, I feel, a global need, right? In this time of loneliness.
It's funny that you say that. I really do find fulfillment in just reminding them that they have value. You know, like there's more to life than being on autopilot. There's more to life than social media, but like you have a unique purpose and it's going to look different than everyone around you. So how do you tap into you?
It's like, just talk to me about just your rhythm with God that you're pursuing.
Yeah. So I'm building it, right? I think everyone wants to kind of say, oh, it's great, but like, let's be realistic. Right? It's hard. And especially to your point of we're always on the go. So what does that look like? Is the Lord like, hello, like I'm here too. So I've really found recognition in inviting him in the small things, right? So allowing the Lord to meet you where you are. And it doesn't have to be this over thought out, super scheduled. I used to think like, okay, I'm going to have quiet time and I'm going to, make a prayer closet and I'm going to do all these formal things. But it's just like, no, like we prayed before this meeting, right? We welcomed him in this space. Or if I'm driving, turn off the music and just talk to the Lord. Or when, you're about to go in to make a decision, like just talk to him, like allow the Lord to meet you where you are, and invite the Holy Spirit in your space, and that seems so obvious or so small or so, I don't even know the word, but I think we know like, oh, God's always around and we have angels and like all this stuff we've been taught that's just like in our heads, but like, no, seriously stop and welcome the Holy Spirit in your space. Seriously stop and pray and learn to communicate not only with the Lord, but the people around you and what you need. But with everybody on go, nobody can read your mind. So you have to stop and be intentional about what you need, whether it's from the people around you or even just laying certain things at the Lord's feet and being in tune before you get somewhere, before you get to a breakdown, being in tune to say, hey, I'm overwhelmed. Like, I'm going to lay this at the Lord's feet. I'm big at journaling, so I like writing things out.
Shout out. We team journal.
So I'm going to write this down and leave it here, or I'll come back and pray about it later. Or, the Lord speaks to me through writing letters to myself. So whether it's just like making time to do little things and welcoming the Lord in your space.
What's ahead? How could brothers and sisters come alongside you and support you in what you got going on? So how can we support you?
First, pray for me, right? I mean, I think before we started the conversation recorded, I was just telling you the amount of stuff going on in life and just that interesting transitional period that I am in just naturally with my age and getting older and, so many different roads to navigate as you walk into the woman that God's called you to be. So first, just keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I actually am very filled by this conversation. So if anybody ever wants to talk or have questions or they need advice or encouragement, accountability, like please email me, call me, text me, follow me on social, whatever. I'm here to help. And professionally, like my personal professional life, me and my boyfriend did just start a marketing agency. So if you're a small business or you need marketing help, we kind of run the gamut on marketing things. And then I also have a planner business. So I'm like obsessed with stationery and planners. But it is ivyaveplanning.com. So ivyplanning.com. I make custom planners to help you organize your life and everything that you have going on. So yeah.
Oh, this is dope. How do they find you online? So we got the website. How do they find you online on social media? How do they connect?
Yeah, so my Instagram, this is so funny that this is how we plug ourselves nowadays, but my Instagram is mclight8. So MCLYTE and the number 8.
Okay, got it. Shout out, Georgie Porgy. You didn't get any issues with the original MC, but my sister, you are loved. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for just so much wisdom in everything that you're sharing along the way, as we all are along the way. And so I'm just excited just to co-labor with you. But I think everyone who hears this and sees this will equally be excited and grateful for all that you've shared. So may God continue to shine his face upon you and continue to show you favor. Thank you, sister.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.